Welcome to Tokyosaurus. So what's up in Japan? Today marks the worldwide release of Monster Hunter Stories, which was released in Japan almost a year ago in October. Which, to be honest, nobody really knew what to expect from it, seeing how it looks like a cartoon version of the original Monster Hunter. At first, I thought it would be an easy, dumbed-down version of Monster Hunter with a much more forgiving combat system, but turns out I was completely wrong. Monster Hunter Stories is basically Monster Hunter's take on a turn-based RPG that you would probably find very similar to the Pokemon series or even the Yokai Watch series. Not saying this is a copy because it definitely isn't. It's more of a game in the same genre with a very distinct Monster Hunter touch to it. Players take on the role of a rider similar to a Pokemon trainer, and you go around befriending monsters to add to your team instead of carving out their hides for armor like the original games. You can also hatch new monsters just like Pokemon and get unique stats, etc. But even so, with the similarities, the Monster Hunter charm is infused into every part of it, with a big gathering system that rewards you for exploring and gathering resources. Battles are like rock, paper, scissors affairs, but different monsters have different patterns, just like how learning the patterns to how and when monsters attack in the original Monster Hunter is pretty much the only way to beat them. Combat in this game though is not super deep, and nor should we expect it to be, because obviously this game isn't targeted to the hardcore Monster Hunter fans out there, but towards a younger audience or maybe people who are in for a more chill experience. And of course, a beautiful world to explore in. The game is in an open world format where you can explore around freely, and stumbling into monster dens means you can find a nest that you can steal eggs from, hatch them, and raise them into new monsters that can join your roster. What I really like about this game is that monsters would follow you in the world, you can ride on them, and in battle, you the player is also battling alongside your monsters, so you do feel way more connected to them because your monsters are always with you every step of the game. As a trainer in the Pokemon world, you rarely see your Pokemon interact with your player character, and here in Monster Hunter Stories, they did a much better job in creating that bond between you and your monsters. The main Monster Hunter series excelled in creating a world that made you feel like a real hunter. You not only had to take down very difficult beasts that are many times your own size, but you also had to gather material from the environment to make items to help you along the way. This game also excels in creating a world where you feel like a real monster rider, if there was such a thing, where you bond with monsters and fight alongside them. But how did monster riders come to be in the world of monster hunters? Basically, there's a little village that has these kinship stones that allow them to communicate with monsters, and thus they were able to live peacefully alongside the monsters, unlike the hunters, where they took each other out at every chance. Due to the idea of living with monsters being so strange, the village tries to keep its existence a secret. Riders do not get along with hunters whatsoever because they have totally different philosophies when it comes to monsters, which is pretty cool to see them connect the lore between two very different games that live in the same world. Fans of Monster Hunter will definitely be able to enjoy this game as long as you come into the game without the expectation of playing a Monster Hunter game. Think a Pokemon game skinned with Monster Hunter lore. The art style works very well on the 3DS, making it probably one of the best looking 3DS games I've ever seen. So, what about Japan? How did it do over there? Since coming out last year in October, it sold about 330,000 copies, which is obviously not nearly as much as a main series Monster Hunter game. But for a new side series, it's definitely a very good start, and seeing how there's already an anime for Monster Hunter Stories as well as a ton of toys, we can definitely bet that we'll be seeing more of them in the near future. So, what do you guys think of Monster Hunter Stories? Gonna check it out on a 3DS? As usual, let me know down in the comments below. Thumbs up the video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for Tokyosaurus for the latest things people are talking about in Japan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.